I want you to forget all about the shutdown shellacking. So they're launching a smear campaign disguised as a bombshell, the Jeffrey Epstein emails. Congress is dumping thousands of documents, and Democrats are using them to frame Trump. But we've been combing through them and can't find anything nailing Trump. Even Axios says the emails contained no real smoking gun. The files do show Epstein's deep ties to liberals, like anti-Trump author Michael Wolff. He colluded with Epstein on how to blackmail Trump. Wolff told Epstein in 2015, if you should let him hang himself. If he says he hasn't been on the plane or to the House, then that gives you a valuable PR and political currency. Why is Wolff giving a pedophile PR advice and coaching him to take down the president? That wasn't the only writer Epstein colluded with. A New York Times reporter gave Epstein a heads up that a former cop was investigating him for a book. That reporter was pushed out of the company after they found he asked Epstein for a $30,000 donation. Larry Summers, who worked for Bill Clinton and Obama, was also pen pals with Epstein. He was asking him for tips on women. Who goes to Jeffrey Epstein for dating advice? Epstein didn't just have ties to the Democrats and the media. He had foreign connections. Before Trump met Putin in 2018, Epstein was pitching himself to the Kremlin, saying he could give Russia insight on Trump, which is weird because if the Kremlin was controlling Trump like the Democrats accused him, why did they need insight? He wasn't just any old rich American. He was well connected to top players all over the world, from Israel to Saudi Arabia. And it wasn't a secret. Epstein went to Clinton's White House 17 times. And Slick Willie was a frequent flyer on the so-called Lolita Express. Clinton and Epstein seemed like pals. But when it comes to Trump, Jeffrey had TDS. I have met some very bad people, none as bad as Trump. Not one decent cell in his body. Trump should wear that like a badge of honor. The slimiest guy in the world hating you is a good thing. Epstein even admitted Trump, quote, never got a massage. The same author Epstein colluded with even said this.
Epstein believed that it was Trump who first informed the police about what was going on at Epstein's house. And from that point on, they were nothing but bitter enemies.
So Trump dropped a dime on Epstein, but Democrats say they're best buds? And that Biden and Obama's DOJ had proof Trump was compromised, but waited 3 elections to keep it a secret? They arrested Trump over bookkeeping and want us to believe they had real dirt and didn't use it.
The Epstein files were in existence and free to have been opened during the Biden administration. You were there for 4 years. How come you didn't open it as a Democratic Party then? What am I missing?
Ghislaine Maxwell said Trump did nothing wrong. So have Epstein's victims and Epstein's lawyer. And none of these emails implicate Trump. So we're back to square one. Congress is playing games, holding fake votes to drop more files. But that's not going to happen because it's up to a judge, and they won't release grand jury testimony. This is now looking more and more like a ploy to divide Republicans and smear the president. For a party that claims to care about affordability, they sure waste a lot of time on old emails. Primetime wants to get to the bottom of the Epstein saga more than anybody. We've been covering the story for years. But the story isn't about Trump. It's about foreign intelligence, blackmail, and cover-ups. Christopher Rufo is a senior fellow at the Manhattan Institute and host of the Rufo and Lomez podcast. All right, Chris, what does your gut tell you about what's going on here?
Look, I mean, Jeffrey Epstein is an increasingly and enormously powerful man, even in death. He is like a human hand grenade, and both sides, both camps, keep trying to toss him onto the other side and hoping that it explodes. But again and again, the evidence suggests that while Trump did know Epstein, he did party with Epstein on occasion, he wasn't involved in any of Epstein's crimes. And in fact, when he figured out what was going on, he banned Epstein from his Mar-a-Lago club and resort. And so the president, I think, had successfully established boundaries, and the Dems are just trying to agitate against him and trying to use whatever bits and pieces from these documents to get the president. But look, the president has been through a lot. He's been indicted. He's been arrested. He's been mugshotted. He's been shot through the ear. A couple of misrepresented snippets from these emails is not going to result in much.
How do you think the Republican Party is handling the Epstein situation?
I think the Republican Party, in part, has taken the bait, and there's this scrambling about the various bills and the court hearings. It's so convoluted, it's given the Democrats an opportunity to demagogue against it. But I think overall, the best policy is one of transparency. The more documents can be revealed, the maximum amount the courts can let loose to the public, I think that's better. And I think the evidence should, wherever it falls, it falls. The evidence thus far suggests that Trump had no involvement in the Epstein crimes. But I think certainly some very powerful people from all political persuasions and business and politics and academia and science are trying to keep these documents out of the public eye because, look, some very powerful and very well-known people were doing some very naughty things.
Yep, that's what it appears to be, too. All right, Chris, great work. Thank you so much.